The world is shit. I know, because a blue-haired woman standing next to a dude in a man bun tells me so. Every single day. There's a lot of negativity out there, folks. I sometimes refer to it as a modern religion, although it is a very broad thing to say. I'm part of the Think Positive movement, because if you think positive, you can bring positive things into tangible reality. If it's all doom and gloom, yeah, that serves a purpose as well. It gives you incentive and pushes your survival mechanism, and in a number of areas, a number of dimensions, to do better. A cornered monster is, the old saying, you put the monster in a corner, and that's when their back is against the wall. They explode in rage. They explode in power. It's survivalism incarnate. But I keep hearing this. Positive thinking would be a wonderful thing. But not everybody. There has to be a negative to contrast it with. But when you say the world is shit, the world is shit. What's going on? It's like they're chronically black-pilled. Because they look at what's on the news media, and they look at what they get from, I don't think they're necessarily seeing these issues on the streets when they say the world is shit. I think without the media, you wouldn't have much, if any, actually. If you erased all media from your life, you wouldn't have any connection to the outside world. You'd only be able to go out, and what you see on foot and what you see out there would be your world experience. But, with the news and all the pathos-driven journalists that simply, regurgitate the same, de-hoaxed lies just to feed whatever side, if they're on the right or on the left, and they're in their corporate media outlet that needs to serve an audience and make them, tune in, because people want to tune in to what they already kind of agree with. They don't want to be challenged constantly. It's very cognitively demanding to be challenged all the time. So that's why cognitive dissonance sets in very often with everybody. Me, you, and everybody else. And, some people more than others. And it's important to know when and recognize it, and recognize that feeling, and know, what you're giving up by staying in your echo chamber. Like, you may be asphyxiated by your own farts if you don't open the echo chamber door and step out of your safe space. And it's kind of strange when I call it a modern religion, negativity, because you're staying. Sometimes it's almost like you might even have this sense, you might think reasonably, move away from the faith, that everything's awful, and then go, wait a second, are things really that bad? It's like, if you won't let yourself get there, it is sort of becoming a quasi-religious experience, where in your personal life, it's immoral. It's inflicting harm upon yourself to not feel a sense of guilt, and to not feel like, wow, I have it good, and everything's terrible out there, but I have it good. Well, what if it's not as terrible out there as you think it is? And it is terrible out there, folks. It is very terrible out there in some respects, in some parts of the world, and in some areas. We're seeing a lot of censorship. We're seeing the migrant crisis in Europe. We're seeing all kinds of disease spreading across, Africa and the rest of the world. The Ebola. We have issues on the southern border of the United States. We have so many issues. I couldn't name them all. But at the same time, if you don't look towards a positive future and try to build towards it, and that's the thing, you are building towards it. In many ways, you're being charitable, you're being egalitarian, And that's a good thing. But yeah, I do notice it more from certain crowds. The blue-haired women and the dudes with the man buns. You know, every time I go to Starbucks, it's the only time I hear these awful stories. Every single day on social media, you see it. You just see, you even see it on dating sites. Hell, just the other day, somebody asked me about World War III. When will the United States slide into World War III? It was a joke, I would assume. But at the same time, that's some serious, hard language there. World War III. Here's how you stay out of World War III. Don't provoke the other world powers that have nuclear weapons. And respect them, those that do. Because you have to work together. My thought is that we transition from nuclear weapons to nuclear energy. We take the same technology and we apply it differently, and it builds a better world economy where anybody that has the nuclear capability can be a leader in the field or potential leader. And then there'll be a big market for all this new nuclear technology, like Generation 4 nuclear power, which cannot melt down and eats nuclear waste for fuel. I mean, Bill Gates is talking about it. Scott Adams is talking about it. You can follow Mark Schneider, who has the Green Nuclear Deal, and that's the only way we can solve climate change in time. If you happen to believe that climate catastrophe is imminent within the next 100 years and you'd like to stop it, yes, nuclear power, much more efficient and powerful than solar, wind, or any, if not all, other renewable alternatives. So, there's one way, and, fossil fuels are not going away. Even with nuclear power, it's going to take many, many years for fossil fuels to go away. So you need to apply some casual fatalism and realize that about 84% of the world's energy runs on fossil fuels and oil, coal. And that can be unfortunate if you're worried about CO2 emissions and the modern religion known as global warming. It's understandable, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Think positive. Think positive, my blue-haired friends. And understand that Generation 4 nuclear could be the answer to a number of our problems and fix the whole thing.